I got a small amount of nose and scar wax, which I flattened out and applied to the side of my mouth. I then started to blend it in with the surrounding skin. I moisturised the tips of my fingers so that they wouldn't stick to the wax, as the wax can get quite sticky as it heats in your hand. And I just kept flattening and blending the wax in with the skin to make sure that it's well in place. Next, I got some liquid latex, which I poured into a cap, and then just using my finger, I started to pat this on top of the wax to seal it in place and to also give it a slightly smoother surface. And while that side was drying, I went ahead and repeated the same process on the other side of my mouth, and using the moisturiser on my fingers to stop the wax getting so sticky. Once the first layer of latex is dry, go ahead and apply another one, and you can repeat this process 2 or 3 times using a hairdryer on a low setting to dry in between layers. Once the last layer was dry, I applied a little bit of translucent setting powder to take away any shine and take away any stickiness that might be left over. To cut into the latex and wax, I used a blunt but very thin tool, nothing too sharp, be careful if you do use scissors. And this is just a tool for spots, I think, that I got from Boots, and I coated it in moisturiser and just start poking in through the latex to break the top layer, and then slowly and carefully run it back and forth. Don't just drag it all along in one go, or you can just rip off the wax altogether. Just slowly start to open up that wound, and once you start opening the wound, you can also start to move your mouth. I made sure that the wax was well blended in around the lip area and recoated with a little bit of latex to make sure it was sealed in place. Colour inside the wax, I used a matte black gel eyeliner. This one is by Inglot, and using a very fine tipped paintbrush, I just started to apply this black inside the wax. You can move the wax up and down a little bit just to make sure the black is all in there, but you can always just press it back into place. As long as you have enough latex on top, it shouldn't fall apart. Next, I started to stipple on a little bit of cream makeup in kind of reddy and flesh tones, just to give a little bit more of a gory look to the skin around the wound. And I just used the same metal tool to pull back open the wax after it had been squished in a bit from the stippling brush. For the blood, I made my own homemade recipe out of gelatin mixed with water and glycerin, and then I used red and blue food colouring to get that lovely dark, really rich red shade of the blood. I prefer using this than to store-bought fake blood, as this one actually sets after a while, so it looks really realistic when you first put it on when it's really runny, but then it'll start to thicken a little bit as it sets, and it'll actually stay in place as it is all night, so you get a really good effect without having to worry about it dripping all over your clothes. Plus, it's also safe for ingestion. It's all just stuff bought in the supermarket, so you don't have to worry about using it around the mouth area. Once my blood mix started to thicken a little bit and get a little bit more jelly, I started to pack this inside the wound. I love this because you basically have a few different types of gel depending on the state of the blood as you apply it. And then just go ahead and apply as much blood as you want and make it super gory and gross. I stippled a little bit of a purple eyeshadow around the area to make it look a little bit bruised and distressed. And then I just kept stippling on the blood until I was just happy with how the whole thing looked in the end. I didn't have any other makeup on the rest of my face here, but if you did apply makeup onto your face and down onto the latex, it would help to take away the obvious end of the wound, the latex at the top a little bit. But besides that, I think you get the general idea. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.